Hello, hello, hey, this is OkayOkayOkOk, and we're coloring a comic page from Tales from the Crypt Keeper 18. This is the matching spell, and this is a pretty wild comic with lots of visually interesting stuff happening. It feels a lot like, a crazy spells gone wild kind of comic. It is in the Tales from the Crypt Keeper 18, so it's going to be finished and released, put in the store this weekend on Sunday, the end of August 2025. Today I'm going to do some live stream coloring. So we've got our Photoshop file here, and we'll just go ahead and start coloring. Kind of wanted to make today like a good vibes live stream, talk about anything that's like good vibes, because it feels a little bit like the world is on fire. And I don't know, I think I asked this in my last live stream, which was on X, where it's just like, what do you do when like everything you look at or hear is constantly feeding you like the end of the world kind of stuff? I don't know if it's the end of the world, but everything is so negative. Everything is rage bait. Everything is designed to, just elicit a strong response from you. And it's not just like coincidence. Like there's a lot of actual stuff happening that's not good. You wanted to say like, I don't think the world is in a good place right now, but I don't know. I feel like the more you watch any YouTube videos, I know I'm on YouTube right now, but I feel like the algorithms are trying to kill us. If that makes any sense, where it's like they want us to get depressed and fall off the edge of the earth, that kind of thing. That's what it feels like. They might say they don't, but it kind of put me on this crazy conspiracy. Like maybe the algorithm is already in control. Maybe AI is already taken the reins. But today we're gonna do a good vibes stream. Gonna just kind of talk about things that might help with the chaos and extreme conflicts going on, I'm sure, in everybody's life. I think I'm using the wrong. Yeah, I should have. I'm gonna go with this character first. This is a little panel where, I don't do the TG transformation very much, but here it is in the flesh. So I know I get quite a few requests to do this kind of transformation, and it's been a while since I've done it in a comic. The biggest one I can remember was the toy soldier from Tales from the Crypt Keeper. I want to say Tales from the Crypt Keeper 3, maybe? Toy soldier? Maybe it was issue 2. Yeah, I think it might be issue 2. I'm trying to think if there was. I know there was like a Sanderson Stepsisters TG transformation. But the reason we're doing this particular comic, the matching spell, is because I put it up to a vote a few months ago, and people expressed the most interest in this story. So it is very much a fan-fueled comic. However, I did create the story, so it's definitely got OkayOkayOk vibes running through it. I think you'll kind of agree with me there once you read it. All right. So, what else? We've got. As I was saying, I think the world is kind of feeling upside down because it feels like I'm not the kind of person. I am not the person to be talking about what kind of makes you feel sane. Because I don't feel like this particular comic is like, yeah, this. Let's listen to this person talk about what makes them feel like they don't want to jump off of a cliff, jump off a bridge. But yeah, it's I like being outside, touching grass, being with plants, landscaping. No, that's kind of a rare thing nowadays because it's like, how do you get to do that? But if you can grow anything indoors, grow like a garden, even potted plants. I've been doing a lot of indoor gardening. I don't know, is that what it's called, lately? And it's just like a huge source of good vibes. I don't know what else to call it other than it makes me feel good. Gives me relief from the craziness out in the world right now. It's a very hard choice to be like, I don't know if I should just ignore everything because a lot of it's out of my control, or if I should how I'm glad there's people getting involved, and anyone like, the problem with being in the postmodern climate is, it's what is good, what is wrong. Everybody's teaching something different, everybody believes something different, and maybe belief doesn't matter or shouldn't matter, but it absolutely does these days. Because maybe truth does matter, but it's not playing out like it does. I mean, friends and family, being outside, a lot of like what we've lost along the way with getting so into technology is kind of what you need right now. I'm listening to reggae over here. I think this song is a little aggressively happy, which is getting on my nerves. Sounds of summer. But yeah, let's see. I think I must be on like. Here's my playlist. Let's go up to the very first one. There we go. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I've been dealing with some health stuff this past week, which has been rough because like when you're kind of stuck in bed, there's not much you can do outside of like being on your phone, and I think being on your phone right now is really detrimental to your health. There's no escaping it. You got to be on your phone some, but like, oof, people are taking breaks from their phone. I get why. It's back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like, I think the AI has taken control of the algorithm, and maybe it's not AI, maybe it's the tech overlords. Maybe they're feeling like, you know what, there's too many people in the world. Which is crazy to say, but I was also watching a documentary. I started it. I didn't finish it because I was like, this is going down a very dark path. This is Martin Scorsese. It's called The Slavery to Progress, I think. It's something like that, where he's like, it's very important to distinguish what good progress is and bad progress. And I'll just get to the point where I say, well, he's saying there's too many people in the world. So imagine being someone in charge and watching this video and thinking, you know what, I really agree with this guy. There is too many people in the world. Imagine what AI will think of that video when it listens to it and thinks it's reasonable. You know, I don't know. Everything's just kind of, maybe I'm overly worried about everything. That's why I need to just step off it. But yeah, like, what do you do to have just kind of some kind of peace of mind nowadays? I think it's admirable, anyone saying like, oh, I'm going to step off of social media. I'm done with it. I'm stepping away from my phone. I can't do that though. I don't, like, I'm sure some people who are like, have jobs that don't involve the internet can do that, but I can't. I think that would be really hard. I really like the idea of getting back to physical media, because of everything that's going on with that. I think there's a lot of good reason to support buying, like copies of movies instead of buying them digitally. I understand all the reasons why you'd want to buy a digital product, and it probably isn't better for the environment. I don't know. But I think the way the people in charge of the companies are, it's like they're doing it for nefarious reasons. And, it's kind of feels good to have physical media sometimes. All right, so this is going to be like an interesting panel where there's like a lot of action. Kind of wondered if I should do a actual background, because she's going to be standing on like a couch ottoman, or if I should make it like a like a manga comic style where it's like stars are like shooting everywhere, action lines. Something else I've been kind of in the process of development was like having another pet inside, where it's like have something else to keep your mind occupied. And again, I struggle with like, how much can I do and feel like I'm having a positive effect on the world without just completely disengaging from it. Because I think to a certain extent, everyone has to disengage. Like, have to disengage a little bit. All right, so this face is kind of weird. I was watching Pineapple Express. I think that was the movie with Josh Grogan. Josh Grogan is that the singer? Seth Rogen. Yeah, I was watching Pineapple Express last night on TV. That's a much older movie than I realized. So much time has gone by. I feel like the last 10 years have gone by real quick. I was watching a movie or a YouTube video about how it's like Disney is trying to appeal to men again. And one of the videos the guy was saying like, well, for the past decade, you've been driving men away, and now you're. And I was like, decade? Hold it. What? Decade? Oh my gosh. It's really been 10 years. I want to Google, like, when did The Force Awakens get released? Speaking of Star Wars, I've been watching the prequels again, and I'm just I've kind of like flipped the head on what I thought of the prequels. I always liked the third prequel movie. I thought it was just action packed, and there was a lot to appreciate in um, Revenge of the Sith. I think that's the title of it. And I always had fond memories of the Phantom Menace because it just, nostalgia, seeing it as a kid in theaters, that kind of thing. What else? What else? Um, I didn't. I always had mixed feelings about the prequels. Um, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I hate the prequels. No, I do feel that way about the sequels, but the prequel trilogy was always kind of a mixed bag. It was like there's a lot of like comically bad stuff about it, but I have a lot more admiration for the prequels now. Over the years, it's like you appreciate it more and more. Um, and I remember when it first started, like that slow change into appreciating was back when they were starting to show off the all the sets, the models they made for the sets, and that strengthened so much when. Hold on, I got a phone call. Just a second. All right, I'm back. That was a phone call I had to take. So I was talking about really appreciating the prequels more and more as time went on. You know what really got me? If I can boil it down to two things, was it felt like too much green screen was used, and maybe they weren't, you know, they didn't have the green screen technology really well down pat yet. So a lot of the lighting just felt very fake, and you could tell a lot of it was green screened, and they went kind of wild with how much computer graphics they used, and I don't think it was quite ready for all of the computer graphics they did, but I'm sure it pushed the envelope, and it got a lot of new stuff created because, you know, it was Star Wars. So I appreciated how much they were trying, but I also was like, you know, I wish they would, you know, go more traditional. And it turns out they did use a lot of traditional stuff. And it was just kind of hard to tell, I guess. But the more you watch the sequel trilogy, and you see them just recycling every single ship, every single concept, and having zero initiative to try something new. It just, wow, the prequels started looking more and more impressive, you know? I mean, I think I've said this before, where you look at the sequel ships from Star Wars, and you're just like, that stinks. It's just, you know, I didn't like the Stormtrooper helmets. Now, I will say, Rogue One, I really liked the designs they created for Rogue One. I thought the concept art and the design team was on point with Rogue One. You know, a lot of new stuff in Rogue One, a lot of new stuff that's very similar to old stuff, but a lot of new stuff, and it just all looked really great. So I've always been impressed with the production team of Rogue One. And so we're getting back to the prequels. The other thing about the prequels that I didn't really care for was a lot of the dialogue just sort of felt very rehearsed, and as I rewatch it, I think, well, you know, there is a lot of bad dialogue. There's a lot of bad delivery. However, there are super, super memeable quotes in the prequels, you know, like lines that you'll just became, oh yeah, I know that line from Star Wars, you know, I have the high ground. Or you will try, or it's just so many things that are oh, I wouldn't really, I mean, it's so simple, but in essence it's they became so so quotable. I guess that's the word, quotable. And so in thinking about that, I'm like, well, yeah, you can give the prequels a lot, you can allow them a lot, forgive them. You can forgive them for a lot of bad lines, when some of the lines are, maybe they're not great, but they're classic. I would say that. And bottom line is the story was very different in the prequels, and I think that's why George Lucas never even started, one of the reasons why he chose not to start with episodes 1 through 3. And the other thing is how much of episodes 1 through 3 did he actually have written out before he said, you know what, let's go with 4, 5, and 6? Because it felt like they did a lot of writing And it kind of makes you wonder, like, was it just kind of like a concept, like in a very rough draft sort of stage, where it's like, how about two heroes go do this and this and this, and then they do this? Like, oh, that's what the story was. Because like what ended up happening was, there's a lot of focus on how a democracy falls, on how power gets consolidated and then abused. And so it was, from that perspective, like, yeah, it was kind of boring, and it felt like, wait, this is a lot different than what I'm used to and I want in Star Wars. But watching it nowadays, it's like, that was a story that needed to be told, and we're better off for having a story like that in a mass appeal, and something that everybody can relate to and everybody's seen. I think society or humanity is better off with all having seen a story like that, because not everyone wants to watch a history lesson, and that one definitely echoes history. It's become even more relevant in modern times. So yeah, my perspective on the prequels for Star Wars have definitely changed. I still enjoy the escape of the original trilogy the most. And it is so funny. I'm sorry, I bumped the mic. It's so funny to have gone through like Rogue One and Andor, and then go back to the original trilogy and be like, wow, this is so old. Like, the original trilogy never looked old to me until going through all of Andor and all of Rogue One. Wow. The original trilogy feels very old now. I'm trying to select. Okay, there we go. Let's we'll do her now. And just as a side note, I did a poll on my Subscribe Star who people's favorite character was, and this was their favorite character so far, the red-haired girl. And if you were to ask me, I think the goth, like Mean Girl, is my favorite. I guess I've got to type. But here we go. We're drawing the redhead, and she started as a young woman. I don't know how to describe her, but she did the matching spell while holding up like a bra that's bigger than her, and so the matching spell matched her body to it. And let's see, did anything else happen yet? Well, I guess you can see what happened down at the bottom of the page. She gets hit with the spell again. And let's do sort of like shadow fingers. I'm kind of interested. I'm wondering too, like, the Fantastic Four came out. I think I heard that it bombed, or it didn't do well. It bombed for a Marvel movie, I guess you'd say that. And, I guess that was kind of my expectation, because I saw the trailer and I wasn't too impressed by the trailer. It didn't make me want to go out and see it. I would have been a hard sell for the movie, because I'm kind of tired of superhero movies. I do have the superhero fatigue. I'm more of a I'll watch a superhero movie when it's available for free to watch. And when I have a lot of free time. But yeah, I've kind of gotten past the superhero desire, the desire to see superhero movies. And it's unfortunate for the Fantastic Four because it was kind of like they always get the short end of the straw, like they're never going to be a hit, It's kind of funny how it feels kind of like the Monsters Inc. meme where the little green dude always has a sticker in front of his face or always gets shoved out of the picture. Well, that's who Fantastic Four is. Because they're never going to be appreciated. And I think I remember saying this in one of my live streams or somewhere. I saw Pedro Pascal in the trailer for Fantastic Four, and I was just, I have nothing against Pedro Pascal. I like him in stuff, I guess. I feel like he's like sure, I like him, I guess. That kind of actor. He's not like oh, yes, I'm going to go see that movie because Pedro Pascal is in it. He is not that kind of an actor for me. Recently, I saw a movie with a guy who is like that for me. So a guy like that is Clive Owen. I really liked Clive Owen. I think he's done. He might be gone for good now. I don't know. I haven't seen Clive Owen in forever. But I really liked him in Sin City. And what's another? There's several of his movies are on Tubi right now. I think it was like Roulette, maybe. And it's not even a good movie. I enjoy watching him act, I guess. He always plays like the tough guy. Tough guy. There was so I like the Muppets. I'm a big Muppets fan. And so I find myself quoting Miss Piggy a lot. That's really weird, I know, but so what did Miss Piggy do that I was like one of my favorite lines in cinema history is Miss Piggy in Muppets from Space saying, "Is that all you got?" and then gets punched. She's like, "Is that all you got?" and then she gets punched again, and then she's like, "Is that all you got?" and then she gets punched again, and it's just and then she gets a noogie on the head, and then she loses her cool and goes Chuck Norris on the guy. But yeah, I guess I love Miss Piggy. Oh, tough guy. What is that from? I feel like that's a Muppet movie quote. I don't know which one. Man, have you ever watched Jim Henson's funeral? I think it's on YouTube. If you want to watch something really inspiring, I guess. I don't know if it's inspiring or if it's kind of I would say it's a piece of art because it inspires all kinds of different emotions. Where Jim Henson was an amazing guy. I was watching the other day about how they did some of the secrets how they performed some of the movie magic on the Muppet movies, and that was really cool. I enjoyed watching that. I need more movies like that on YouTube where it's not talking about like everything going wrong and all the reasons why your future sucks. But like I feel like every YouTube video is like, in summary, just don't go on living. Or in summary, you have a lot to be sad about. I feel like every YouTube video is like a a news headline where it's like, find out what's gonna poison you tomorrow. An alligator chopped this guy's hand off. Or, you know, what your teenage daughter didn't know was going to get her pregnant. That kind of, just like all kinds of like bizarre, like, what? Head turning, like, okay, I have to watch that. And it ends up being like really dark and making you just feel terrible after you watch it. I feel like everything is like a horror movie now, where you're like, okay, I have to watch something happy before I go to bed. Can't end my night on that. Speaking of horror movies, Halloween is coming up. October. So October is like the scary movie month. I always do like scary movie marathon in October. I'm going to start getting together some ideas of scary movies to watch. My good friend had Smile 2, which I watched the other night, and I can't say that I loved it. I cannot say that I loved it. It had a fun, I guess, practical effects ending. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but you know, in the substance, that had a similar kind of crazy practical effects ending. And so it's like there's good things about the movie Smile 2, but I can't say that I would I would not suggest dropping everything and going and watching it. I get really annoyed when a story is kind of like, did it happen? Did that really happen? Is this real? Is this really happening? And it's like just continues to do that like every 10 minutes, and you're just like, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care if it's happening. I don't, like, just show me a real story. Like, they sort of lost me after about the third time doing that. Just be like, okay, nothing is happening. It's just like a music video. And I am sure there's gonna be like an honest trailer for that movie, Scream 2, because there's too much gold material for them to be like, this is just too easy to make fun of. Where like the main character makes this like horrified face, and they just like center on her face. They do that shot so many times in the movie that even I don't notice that thing usually, but I was just like, oh my gosh, if they show her horrified face for like 5 seconds centered without anything else happening again, I'm gonna lose my mind. And they did it again. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest watching Smile 2 unless it's like, oh yeah, we don't have anything else. And I kind of forgot what happened in Smile 1, but yeah, I mean, it's just so frustrating when like you don't know if what you were watching for 30 minutes was even real. I'll keep that in my back pocket and try to remember that when I do stories, because yeah, I definitely don't want to do that. Still tell stories like that. I was saying I watched a movie with Nicolas Cage and Elijah Wood where they're performing a heist, and I really didn't like that movie. I didn't like the ending. Aside from the ending, it was a good movie, but you get to the ending and it just becomes like infuriating how they end the movie. And I don't know if it's supposed to be clever or what, but it's just like, it kind of feels like the directors are like the Rian Johnson kind of directors from The Last Jedi, when they're like, ha ha, fooled ya, ha ha ha. And it's just like, damn it, you just wasted 2 hours of my life. But yeah, speaking of Rian Johnson, I don't want to just say bad things about him. I hated what Rian Johnson did with Last Jedi. I thought that movie sucked, but I do really like his. I was so impressed with Knives Out 1 and 2. Knives Out 1, yes, super impressed. Knives 2, a little less impressed, but still good. So that's I don't know if you're like me and you're just like, how could those movies have been so good and yet Last Jedi was just so bad? I remember being excited that Rian Johnson was doing The Last Jedi when they first announced it, and I remember, kind of researching Rian Johnson and what he had done, being like, oh, this could actually be this is great. But we're in Bizarro world where things you think are going to be great are actually terrible. I think I'm going to have to hop off here in a second and take care of a few things on the agenda. But this has been a good live stream. It's nice to talk about things that are not super depressing. I feel like sometimes I accidentally start talking about how dark the world is getting. I don't know, maybe it's not getting dark. Maybe it's just I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna finish her hair up and then we'll call it a day. Well, not a day, but we'll call this the end of the live stream. You know what? I really need to figure out how to get the chat bar up and running, because there's absolutely no chatting on my X live streams. But I'd like to have a chat bar running on YouTube. Maybe I'll hold off on finishing this and come back and do part 2 with live chat. Okay, so let's give her like a highlight and then we'll be done. I didn't do highlights with the brown hair, but no highlights for you. All right. This isn't funny. So yeah, this is what's happening down here. We got a lot of backgrounds to do. This is the final week. There's a what do you call that? A ton of backgrounds to do. I think there's like 8 pages of backgrounds to do, so that's going to take a while. That'll probably be my next 2 days of work. So if you want to see some backgrounds, stay tuned for the next video live stream. This has been OkayOkayOkOk, and thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe for the next video live stream to get your notification when it's happening. Also join my Discord, and I will post links there. Thank you for watching, and I will see